Transitional periods in life suck. And it's so easy to get stagnant and get stuck in these positions, which makes it that much more excruciating. And these transitional periods are spaces where you're not quite where you were, but you're not quite where you want to be either. And it can be so frustrating. It can be so disappointing and so difficult to deal with when all you want to do is be in that next phase, to be exactly where you want to be, but you're not quite there yet. So what I want to do in this video is give you 3 different ways that you can move through this transitional period in your life a little bit more smoothly, a little bit more easily, and hopefully have it feel a little bit less excruciating than what it might feel like right now. So what I believe the whole purpose in this transitional period of your life is actually just to allow you to be in the act of becoming. You're becoming your next self. You're becoming the version of you that you need to be able to tackle the next steps that you have waiting for you in your life. And it's only through the process of taking action that you see yourself in this becoming. Your actions are what takes what's in your internal world and brings it out into the external and shifts your reality. The act of becoming comes from experiencing yourself in new environments, whether that be self-constructed, like a new mindset, or whether that actually be a physical environment, like a new job, starting a new course, moving house, moving countries. But experiencing yourself in a new way rewires your brain to see yourself differently. It strengthens your perception of yourself and creates this deep sense of self-trust and this bond that you have to yourself. And as hard as it can be, putting yourself in these new environments, taking on these new mindsets, taking on these new identities, and putting yourself in these positions that force you to grow and force you into the state of becoming, it is so rewarding and it's so worth it. So my first tip that I have for you today is to just gain clarity. And that's something that seems so obvious and so simple, but it's something that we can forget to do when we're in this turmoil and in this confusing period. Because you need clarity in order to move forwards. You need clarity to know where you want to go next. So stop and ask yourself, what do I want and why do I want it? And it's so important here to understand what your deeper why is. And everything here will start so surface level. And I'll give you an example, just to make it a little easier. You might say, I want more money, because that's something that the majority of the people in the world can agree with. Ask yourself, okay, well, why though? Why do you want more money? And at the surface, you might think, okay, well, just because I do, because everybody does. Why wouldn't you want more money? But there's a deeper reason. There's a deeper aspect underneath that. And when you dig a little deeper, maybe you might say to yourself, well, actually, you know what? Money might give me more freedom. It might give me more control over my life. Maybe you hate having to ask your boss permission to take your child to the dentist. Maybe you have to ask for time off work to be able to go and look after your children. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want a job that has more flexibility, where you're able to take time off without needing somebody else's permission first. So you might say to yourself, okay, well, I want more autonomy. I want more control over my life. I want to be able to make my own decisions and not feel so restricted in my own life. But then the key is then to go even deeper. Ask yourself, okay, well, why do I want this freedom? Why do I want more control? Maybe underneath that you discover that you actually don't feel safe and you don't feel stable in your life. And you think that having this freedom and control from having more money or having a different job will bring you this feeling of safety and will bring you this feeling of stability. So now we've gone from saying something surface level from I want more money to now saying I want safety. I want security within myself. And when you look at that from like a psychological standpoint, safety and stability and freedom, they're all basic human needs. So what you're really saying to yourself is that you have these unmet psychological needs, even maybe physical needs sometimes, that are being unmet. And you'll find that these deep psychological needs that have been left unmet in your mind, they manifest through your goals, through your desires. And these unmet needs are actually your deeper why. This is the reason why you want to push forward. A lot of the time it's our subconscious mind calling out to us and communicating to us to try and let us know that there's something wrong, there's something amiss, there's something that's unfulfilled within us. And that communication comes through to you through these abstract things, like your desires, like your goals. And by doing this inner work and sitting with ourselves, sitting with your shadows, sitting with your unconscious mind, this is how you gain clarity. Finding your deeper why is the first step to giving yourself direction and purpose in your life. So my second step to becoming is to make a choice first and then make a decision after. So I'm going to explain that to you because it sounds a little bit confusing. When you're in this stage of becoming, you don't know who you are yet. You don't know what works best for you yet. You are still in this testing ground and you haven't quite rooted yourself into the earth just yet. And right now what you need to do is experiment to find out what works best for you. And you do this by making a choice, any choice. Take an educated guess on what you think is going to work best for you and move in that direction. Take action on this new choice that you've made and then take note of what you think and what you feel. How do you respond to it? How does it affect you? What progress do you make? Collect data as you're taking action on this choice that you've just made. And evaluate, is it actually working for you? Is this something you actually want to continue doing and want to enjoy doing? And after you've collected data, then you make the decision. And it's either a yes or a no. You either decide that you want to continue doing what your first choice was, or you want to stop and you want to choose something different, and you decide to choose something different. So I'm going to give you an example because it might make it a bit easier to understand. You might decide one of your goals is to just get more fit, to exercise more. So you'll make the choice, the educated guess, that going to the gym might be the correct answer for you. So you do that, you act on that choice. You go to the gym, you get on a treadmill, you start lifting weights. You do that for a couple of weeks and you collect data as you're doing that. Notice how you feel, notice what you're thinking, notice how you're responding to it. Are you actually making progress? And after you've evaluated that, then you decide whether it's right for you or not. You might decide it was the best choice of your life and that you want to 100% continue doing exactly what you're doing. And that's great. Continue doing that. But you also might decide maybe it's not for you. Maybe you don't like the gym environment. Maybe you don't like having to lift weights. Maybe you don't like the machines. So then you decide that that's not what you want anymore and you make a different choice. Then you decide, okay, maybe I might attend a Zumba class. I might attend a dance class. You might go and start ballet. You might decide you want to do tennis instead. So you make that choice. Again, you choose to go to that Zumba class. You try it out for a few weeks, and then you decide whether it's right for you or not. And this is what experimentation is. Try out multiple different avenues and see what works best for you. So my third and final tip is to take action, but to keep coming back to base. It's important in the decisions that you make that you keep coming back to your big picture. Keep coming back to the bigger vision that you have for your future. Keep an image in your mind of who you want to become in 6 months' time or a year's time. And with every decision you make, question whether it actually is bringing you closer to this goal. Your trajectory is so much more important than where you currently are right now. Consistently evaluate that trajectory and ask yourself, in the long term, is what I'm doing going to bring me to where I want to be in the future? Am I choosing instant gratification in the now over the long-term gratification of success? Once you have clarity on where you want to go from your deeper whys and from your choices, it's so important to continue saying yes to the things that bring you forwards along this trajectory and say no to the things that hinder you and the things that hold you back in your life. That's all that I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.